Hey guys, it's Dylan. Just gonna have some time on the couch today and talk to you guys about treat training, my method about going about it, how I'm going to use it, knowing that I've got this puppy from 8 weeks to 7 months to get the dog right versus a client's dog that's come to me at 6, 7 months old, and how I treat train them. So that's completely different. When I get clients dogs in, you're seeing me use treats so much because I've got to get obedience in, and that's the quickest way to get obedience in. And a lot of those dogs have problems where I've got to get them to want to be with me. We don't have any relationship whatsoever, and treat work is a great way to build a fantastic relationship with a dog that you're getting that's older. However, I'm picking up an 8-week-old puppy. The 8-week-old puppy is going to, 8 week to 12 weeks old puppy is going to bond with you really fast. They're going to see you as a leader if you're, taking it out and exploring in fields and doing stuff like that. So we don't need treat work as much right there, and I prefer not to use it as much early on. So I start introducing some food work out of my hand at 13 to 16 weeks. And the reason I do this is because most of the time my Springer puppies, they won't take food out of my hand until then. They're too worried about stuff in their nose. Now, they will take food out of my hand if it's in my house. That's, of course, that. But I don't do a lot of training in my house because I have a 2-year-old and a 10-month-old. So there you go. That kind of X's out that. When they're here, I can't do it. So I don't do much training in here. Besides when I let them up here just to kind of hang out for a second, and then I'm managing them. But I'm not trying to treat train. There's too much going on, too many distractions. So I do all mine outside. So most of the time my dogs aren't taking food out of my hand. And also from 8 to 12 weeks, I want to establish the drive to retrieve. So if I start doing treat work all the time, what is the dog going to look to do with me every time we come hang around? It's going to want treats because they're so food motivated. Their basic instincts are to find food, and so you can overwrite that retrieve drive by doing too much food work at an early age. So that 8 to 12 weeks, I don't really do much there. I just play fetch with them a little bit, and I let them follow me. Let them chase me around. I'll run away and call them, that kind of stuff. But 13 to 16 weeks, start introducing food. Now, sometimes they'll take it from my hand, sometimes they won't. Colt and Annie, they wouldn't take it from my hand at first, so I had to slowly, throw treats onto a hard surface that they could hear it sound and they could smell it. So it was the bottom of a kennel. The bottom of a kennel that we took the top off and just kind of used it as a place board. And so they would go in there and they'd find the treat. And so the way I do treat work is I have what's called a marker language. It's and the words that I use are yes, good, and no, or whichever one you want to use there. So yes means that the pup did exactly what I wanted, and the pup can basically break the behavior. So if it's sitting, it cannot sit anymore. It can run to me and get food. All right, so what that means is, come on, pup, move your feet, come run to me, come get your reward. You're free to use your reward. You got it right and you're done, okay? Good means I want you to keep doing it. So good means if we were doing sit stay, I can say good in the middle of a sit stay and my pup doesn't run to me to get the food. So I go to the pup, I give the food to the pup stays in a sit stay. And then I use no or as a non-reinforcer. So basically, they're not getting food for that. I'm going to make them try again. So the pup's invested in me, he's looking at me, and trying to do what I want, but can't quite figure it out. So I'm just going to tell him, no, that's not it. No, and put the food up around my back, hide it in a pouch, just show them that they're not getting it, and make them try again. And when they get it right, I'll say yes or good, give them food. So the way we start all of our treat work, the way I condition the markers, is start with yes. Very simple. And what I'm going to do, as soon as they start taking food from my hand, I'm going to start saying their name. And then as soon as they look up at me, I'm going to say yes, and I'm going to make them chase my hand to get the food. So I'm going to lure them with my hand, and they'll come eat the food out of my hand. And then as soon as they eat the food out of my hand, I'll say their name again. They look up at me. I'll say yes. I'll make them chase me and get food out of my hand. So I'm activating their play instinct to chase, as well as their food hunger drive to come get the food. So that's going to condition that word yes. So the big things with that is we want to make sure that when we say yes, I say yes, then my hand comes down. My hand does not come down with the food at the same time as I say yes. It comes down right after. So it'd be yes, hand. Yes, hand, come down. They chase me. And what they'll do is you'll start conditioning them a response when you say their name to look at you and pay attention, and they'll be wide-eyed and they'll be looking at you like, hey, I'm going to do exactly what you want me to do. I'm paying attention, like I know food's coming, and as soon as you say yes, they're going to take off running for your hand as soon as you put it down. So we start with that, and we do that everywhere. We do that inside the house. We're going to do that out in our backyard. We're going to take them maybe to a park or to a church parking lot, whatever. Wherever you go and you take the dog, you do those exercises, okay? Now, one thing is you want to make sure the pups use the bathroom before you do any of this. Before you do retrieving, before you do treat work, make sure that the pup has used the bathroom. So with this work, we're also conditioning a recall. So we say the pup's name, we say yes, the pup takes off towards us. So we're conditioning a recall to food work right then and there. So after that, once the pup starts just staring at us and not taking their eyes off us, right? So the pup's looking up at us, and all of a sudden they'll just not take their eyes off us. So we can't get them to look away. Then I will start saying good, and I'll bring the food down to their face. Good, bring the food down to their face. Now this is all in the same session. We're going to spend about a week on yes, and then you can start getting into the goods. So spend a week training yes everywhere. Then you can start working the goods, because they'll start looking at you and they won't take their eyes off you. And then you can just say, good, good. Bring your hand down, give them food. Don't let them move. And then you're training that response for them to stay put. Don't chase the hand, just take the food. And that's how we introduce those marker words. And we won't introduce no until you start doing place board training. So the dog jumps off at the place board or doesn't get on the place board, and then you would say no. Not give them the food, ask for the behavior again. When they get on there, then you would say yes. So this is just a brief intro to treat training. Now, my idea behind everything is I am not doing this every day. So there's a lot of people tell you, hey, do this 5 minutes every day. Don't do that. It's not, it works, it does really well, but if you don't know what you're doing with that dog, what's going to happen is the dog is going to become so food motivated and so like I want the food. It's going to it might override their retrieve drive if it's not set in stone. So I do this like two times a week, maybe 3, depending on the dog. If the dog's super food motivated, just 2, maybe even 1 if the dog's super food motivated, because I don't want, what I don't want to happen is you go to do retrieving work and the dog just, balks at the bumper and is like, hey, I'm not picking it up, let's do the food work. I also don't want it to come in with the retrieve and spit it out at your feet because it's wanting to eat food. It's saying, hey, give me the food. So we're not doing trade-offs with treats for the bumpers, nothing like that right now. I personally want to see how naturally these dogs can retrieve on their own without modifying it with food work or with some type of hold conditioning. I want to see the dog's genetics. I want to see the dog develop on its own. Springers are very natural retrievers. Most of them retrieve without any issue, without any force or hold put on them. Some of the other breeds, pointers and stuff like that, will have some trouble, but most of your gun dogs, your labs, your springers, your cockers are going to retrieve really naturally. So we want to keep that. We want to do that, try to train that up. So we want to avoid doing treat work every single day. Now we will do little things every single day with the dog that I don't classify as, hey, we're doing this is a treat training session. So the things that we'll do starting at 13 weeks is we'll take a piece of treat, we'll say, kennel, and then we'll throw a piece of treat into the kennel. So the dog will run into the kennel on the word kennel. So we're treat training that kennel command. So we'll do that every day, and we'll do it just with their food in the morning. So you go to feed them in the morning, you take the bowl in your hand, you toss a piece of food into the kennel, and you tell them kennel, and they go in there and eat it. Sometimes you may not be able to get them to go in there because they might be smart and they're like, hey, all the food's in that bowl you've got in your hands. I don't want to go after the one piece when you've got the rest there. So sometimes you may just have to put the bowl in there and hold them back and then say kennel, and they'll go in there. So we're conditioning that with food, but I don't consider that a super treat training session. That's just meal time. So use that to get the dogs to go into their crate inside the house. And then that's about it for the 13 to 16 week zone. We're not going to go too far with everything else. We just want to make sure we're spending time with the engagement training, which is that conditioning the yes marker, where we're saying the dog's name, saying yes, making it chase our hand, and get the food everywhere we can. So everywhere we're going to go, everywhere we take the dog, all around our house, yards, that kind of stuff, except for where we play fetch. So we do that, and we take that much time doing that so that the dog can engage with us and stay focused on us everywhere we go. That allows us to have a dog that is paying attention, that's focused, and trainable in any environment. And so that's about all we're going to do with the food work from 13 to 16 weeks.